articulating things is I'm continuously looking to understand the human organism, but not just the human organism, but I go deeper. I don't want to see what's my meaning of life. Don't want to even see what is our meaning of life being humans. I want to see what it is that all life forms are motivated by. And motivation has been an important thing. I learned that way back in the beginning when I was spiritual seeking. I had to start trying to understand all these terms. And I remember looking up in the dictionary the word spiritual, and has the same root as inspire. Spirit is that wind or breath, or spirit has root of wind or breath, but it also has that which implies that what motivates us. And so I look to question, what is it that motivates humanity? What is it that motivates animals and plants and amoebas and any biological form? And what is the sameness about it? I mean, we all don't desire red Ferraris. Amoebas don't use Ferraris. So I don't, I look and say, what is the sameness? What are we all looking for? What motivates us to do anything in life? And get back down to it, it's, like I motivate to go find food, for instance, because I'm hungry, and hunger is a discomfort in the body. I go to sleep at night because my body is exhausted and it's uncomfortable to move around. So rest, I get relaxed and I release all that tension, and it rests and it rejuvenates and gives me energy to do the things tomorrow. Humans, we have all these concepts and ideas that take us out of the present moment, which things like meaning is an idea that has intent that takes us out of the present moment, as opposed to feeling what is going on in the organism, the biological organism we're experiencing life through, and asking what it is I want. And every moment, what it is we want, what everything is going on. And basically I found is that I want to feel good. And the amoeba wants to feel good, and it's hungry and it doesn't feel good so it wants to release that discomfort. In the understanding why there's discomfort is part of the process. That in enlightenment process, we're mostly looking not for overcoming the discomfort of hunger, physical hunger, but mental, emotional pains that we have. And I find that most of the suffering that the people that I experience in life, even when I was in India and seeing starving people on the street and people dying of misery, they were looking basically for the same thing. I remember the first time I went to India, and I was a 32-year-old, healthy, extremely healthy, privileged white male, coming from a rich country, not rich by American standards, but by the people's standards of India, living on the streets, extraordinarily wealthy. And I was walking through the streets of Calcutta, and there's a lot of people living on the streets, and they have these shacks that are made out of burlap, even just to keep the sun off of them. And there's people out there with massive levels of diseases. And this one person, I was walking along, and when people die, they just drag them out on the edge of the street, or the edge of the sidewalk area, and they just leave them there for somebody to come by and pick them up and take them away and to dispose of the bodies. And I was walking along, and there was this body that was laying there. It was dead, and I'm going, oh, I've got to step over this thing. And as I stepped over this rotting corpse, and can't think of the disease that causes the skin to rot away, but it had no fingers, no nose was gone, most of the body had rotted away, and from not epilepsy, but like dreaded disease. And as I was stepping over the body, the eyes opened, and I couldn't tell which was male or female, and the stub of the hand came up towards me to beg for something. And it wasn't dead, it was like alive. And I was terrified of this absolute unbelievable terror, because it's literally this body, living, dying, half-dead organism was reaching toward me with its diseased hands, and I was in utter terror. At 32 years of age and striking young man, I was like, wow. And when this person saw me, they withdrew their hand, and she looked at me with a look that I've never forgotten. This person was pitying me. I, of course, got off and ran away because I was terrified. But this person, who was dying on the streets of Calcutta, starving, rotting away body, and this person had pity for me. Totally. And for years, I kept saying, I wanted what this person had. There was a peace in their face, an acceptance, a peace of mind for their situation and the reality that I did not have. I had terror, I had fear, I had anxiety, I had negativity, anger, I had all these things. And this person had something I didn't have, and that's what I was seeking in India. And that's what the amoeba is seeking when it's searching out, looking for food. It's looking for peace from the discomfort it's having. And most of the pain and suffering that I see in the world comes from our emotional reactions to the thought, to the past and the future. And that is, we have a thought, like, what am I to be in life? What's the purpose of my purpose of living? Or why am I here, or something like that. And those are just thoughts, and then we react to those thoughts by tensing up, which gives us that negative experience. So I sought to understand this down to the subatomic particle level. At least that's the language I use, and I don't use that now, but I wanted to understand what was really going on, what was my motivation. And I can see that tensing up around these thoughts of what's happening and what purpose and meaning and all these things is what I was trying to alleviate. And that tensing comes from, a thought that is in the brain, and there's no discomfort from thoughts in the brain because there is no pain receptors in the brain. But when the thoughts disperse out into the body and go traveling down the neurons into the body and end up dispersing into muscles, then the electrical charge that comes along them comes into the muscles, and that's what causes contraction. And if I have a habit of releasing neurotransmitters like cortisol, and ones that speed up that communication and increase the amount of electrical charge, then I get more tense, and that's what happens when you're like in fear or anxiety or something. But if I have a habit of releasing neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin and oxytocin, then those slow down and cause the less charge to go through and the muscles to relax and to have a pleasant experience, a less stimuli that comes back to the brain, and that's what gives us the negative experience. So that made sense to me, because then you go back and you look at all the spiritual traditions, like the Western tradition. It says, a great commandment is to love God and love thy neighbor as thyself, and love even your enemies and things like that. Well, when you practice the emotion of love, you're releasing these positive neurotransmitters like dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin and things like that. And that feels good. And that's what we want. And the feeling good is what life is about. And so practicing this, that's what gratitude is, or praise God, or, don't worry, be happy, whatever level of philosophy. It's just practice of, seeing things in ways that give you appreciation, joy, love, gratitude, beauty, and the like. And I recognized at some point along in my life that that's what I wanted to fill my life with. My life is an expansion of time, and I can fill it with anything I want. And I wanted to fill it with happiness, joy, love, peace, freedom, beauty, and the like. And those are entirely voluntary experiences based upon my habits, something that I can practice. And so I choose to appreciate, enjoy, and love life. That feels good, and that enriches my life, and that's what I want. That's why I call enlightenment, is that recognizing that I want that. And all the other things that are going on are just thoughts. Environmental degradation, or the political situation, or death, or what happens to me when I die, or, any of those things. Those are just thoughts. Electrochemical impulses traveling along the neuron in the brain. There's nothing there. There's not to be concerned about. Jesus said this. Buddha said this. Be not concerned about tomorrow. Instead, concern yourself with today, and let tomorrow concern for itself. Of course, we don't do that in our habits. And it takes a lot of discipline. And the whole world is working very hard at trying to get us to have meaning and purpose and discomfort, so that they can use some external solution out there to force us, like a carrot on a stick, to get us to motivate it, so that they can get money or power from us, so that they can go buy things that they think will make them feel better. So to me, that's what, enlightenment is, and understanding the meaning of life is that I just want to feel good. And that word God, by the way, comes from the word good. And you'll see one of the definitions is eternal goodness. And they talk about in various spiritual traditions is to feel the presence of God. Well, basically to feel good. This eternal goodness that's all through you. And it's just practice that. It's going out and saying, this is what I want to do with my life. And I'm going to do that and make that effort. So for me, that's the meaning of life. That's what life, in enlightenment, nirvana, heaven, when you're loving life, the great, Jesus said to be perfect as God is perfect. In other places they said God is love, and someplace else they say love is the fulfillment of the law. So when you're able to unconditionally love all that life has to offer, and remember, you're only loving the thought, not what's going on in the world, just the thoughts you're having about what's going on in the world. And you can love those things, and that helps you go through with life. And you're going to have trials and tribulations, but the discomfort will be a lot less if you're appreciating, enjoying, and loving that. Even when I had a motorcycle accident one time, and I went after a long period of meditating at the Vipassana meditation thing, and I went right back to my meditation and relaxed. I had no pain, no discomfort, and I was just enjoying the process. I had stimuli coming in my body from the motorcycle accident, but I didn't have the negativity we call pain because I wasn't resisting. So with things like appreciation, joy, love, gratitude, we can even overcome our pain. So that's my meaning, and I love to hear what you have to think, and this is the kind of discussions I want to have. I want to sit down and talk to people about these things and help other people get to a place where they're free to enjoy and love all that life has to offer. So thank you for listening.